Hi, and welcome to Ivy English. I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today is September 24th. We're on page 70 of the magazine, and we're doing the second half of the article about sugar. Yesterday, we talked about why people have sweet tooths, why people crave sugar, and it's basically because our ancestors needed sugar to create fat so that we would be able to survive during times when we couldn't find food. And now we have this ability to magically store a lot of fat from sugar, and that's great, except for that we have way too much sugar available to us now as modern humans, and so it kind of works against us now. So now we have to exercise self-control relative to sugar, which everyone knows is super impossible.
好，昨天我们文章谈到呢，为什么现在的人喜欢吃糖？因为在远古时代呢，其实人类是需要吃糖啊，那才能够维持生存，而且那个时候糖的来源很少，所以喜欢吃糖的人呢，因为他们吃了糖，所以他们能够存活下来，所以他们能够把他们基因传下来。好，那不喜欢吃糖的人当时就饿死了啊，所以呢，这个也没有把基因传下来啊。但问题是现在呢，我们已经太容易取得糖了，跟我们的这个老祖先比起来，太容易取得糖了。但是我们喜欢吃糖的这个特性还在，所以大家变得都很喜欢吃糖，然后开始对身体有很多不好的影响。
So, let's read our article today and find out all the different kinds of sugar you can overindulge in. Oh, the title of our story is The Reasons Behind Our Sweet Tooth.
好，那今天我们是讲到这篇文章《甜蜜蜜，你笑得甜蜜蜜》这篇文章的第二部分。
Since sugar is such a big part of the food we eat, people may wonder if some types of sugar are better for us than others. Let's look at the similarities and differences among some common sweeteners to find out. White sugar. White sugar is also called table sugar because it's often on tables at homes and restaurants. It typically comes from sugar cane or beets. Because it goes through the most processing, it has the least nutritional value of all the sugars we consume. As it is being refined, the sugar loses its minerals along with any natural color it had. During the refining process, thick, brown, syrupy liquid known as molasses is produced. Brown sugar. Brown sugar is essentially white sugar with some of the molasses added back in. Although the molasses contains some nutrients, the amount added is not enough to be of much benefit to people. Black sugar. Some people believe black sugar, which originated in Okinawa, Japan, is more nutritious than brown sugar. With black sugar, sugarcane is boiled until it turns into a dark syrup, which is then cooled and formed into solid chunks. Thus, black sugar keeps its molasses content. Honey. Honey is another common type of sweetener that people use, with many believing it is the healthiest option because it comes from bees and is therefore more natural. There is truth to that belief, but despite having more nutritional value, too much honey can still be harmful to one's health. The main point seems to be that people should control their intake of sugar as much as possible. Okay, so since sugar is such a big part of the food we eat, like inevitably we're going to be eating sugar, people might wonder if some types of sugar are better for us than others. Can we have a healthy sugar?
好，我们看到这个句子，他说since 这个因为既然糖是 such a big part of the food we eat， 既然糖是我们所吃的食物里面这么大的一部分，那人们可能会 wonder， 可能会想 if 是不是 some types of sugar are better for us than others， 这个地方是 some 跟 others 之间的对比所以人们在想是不是有一些 types of sugar， 一些种类的糖 are better for us， 对我们来讲比较好 then 跟什么比起来对我们比较好呢？跟 others 跟其他的一些糖比起来，是不是有一些对我们来讲，有一些糖对我们来讲是比较好的？
So let's look at the similarities, the things that are the same, and differences, the things that are different, among some common sweeteners, sugars, to find out.
好，那我们来看一看 啊，那 the similarities and differences among 啊，那就是这些东西之间的相似跟相异之处。那这里用 among， 因为有不止两个啊，如果只有两个的话，那就是 the similarities and differences between A and B 啊。那在这里因为不止两个，所以用 among。好，所以 among 什么东西呢？我们要拿哪些来比呢？是 some common sweeteners to find out。我们来看一看一些常见的这个甜的东西，或者是糖，这地方大概可以只是糖了啊。看看这不同的糖之间，它们有什么相似相异之处，来 find out 什么 find out if some types of sugar are better for us than others。那 sweetener 这个字啊 ，sweetener 它就是只会让你变甜的东西 ，something that sweetens 啊，所以它包括糖，糖也是一种 sweeteners。那不过现代啊，很多时候我们讲到 sweeteners 的时候，我们讲到都是一种所谓的 low calorie sugar substitute 啊，是一种代糖或者是糖精啊。但是这里指的这个 sweetener 不是代糖或糖精，它指的就是糖，因为我们等一下看到它，等一下谈到白糖、红糖、黑糖还有蜂蜜啊，这些其实都是 sugar。
So the first thing up is white sugar. White sugar is often called table sugar because it's often on tables at homes and restaurants. It's the most common kind of sugar that you'll come across, and it's the cheapest kind of sugar that's available for reasons. This is more for economic reasons than like reasonable reasons. Like it takes a lot of effort to make white sugar. It really shouldn't be the cheapest kind of sugar, but there you go.
好，所以第一个讲到白糖啊，那各位注意啊，这 white sugar 重音在 white 上面啊，你不要把它念 white sugar 啊，那听起来就很奇怪。同样的，等一下各位，其实刚刚各位应该有注意到，这个 Angela 老师念的时候，他是念 white sugar 好 brown sugar、black sugar 啊，他不是念 white sugar、brown sugar、black sugar 啊，听起来很奇怪哈。那好像是这个糖的颜色的那种感觉，好，所以 white sugar 白糖啊。
Yeah, it's not just the color; it's also the category.
哦呀，所以这地方这个重音放在前面，其实是一个 category 啊，所以这个复合名词第一个名词常常是个 category。好，所以我们看到这个地方讲到说，这个白糖呢 is also called， 它也被称为 table sugar 啊，我们把它翻成食用糖，但其实它就指在餐桌上的糖，因为它接下来就讲说，因为 because it's often on tables 啊，因为它通常是放在桌子上面 at homes 在家里面，或者是 或者 and restaurants 或者是在餐厅里面。那这地方 homes and restaurants 都没有加冠词啊，那都用一个 s 普通名词的复数，所以都是泛指啊。homes 不是指你家，是指是很多人的家，还有 restaurants 指的是一些这个一般的餐厅里面桌上放的都是白糖。
And white sugar typically comes from sugarcane or beets. Now, sugarcane typically grows in tropical countries, and and sugar is super important for the making of medicine. So most countries prefer having like an on their own soil source of sugar. And so the United States came up with the idea of beets because beets are super sweet. So you can make sugar from beets as well. So northern countries who want to have local sugar will make sugar from beets.And southern countries will generally make it from sugarcane.
好，那他这里讲到说 it typically 典型的糖来自于哪里呢？这个白糖来自于哪里呢？来自于这个 sugarcane 就是甘蔗，或者是 beets 是甜菜。好，那这个比较靠南边的这个地方呢比较能够种甘蔗，像台湾就有甘蔗啊。那 beets 的话呢是比较北边的啊，他们没有办法种甘蔗的话，那甜菜也是非常甜的。
And I'm going to say sugarcane sugar tastes better than beet sugar. I feel like beet sugar is like very sweet without any sort of flavor to it.
哦，那 Angela 老师他觉得甘蔗的这种做出来蔗糖呢比较好吃啊，因为它感觉还有一些这个不同的风味。那这个甜菜做出来的糖呢，感觉起来就是甜而已。
Yeah. So because it goes through the most processing, white sugar goes through the most processing, it has the least nutritional value of all the sugars we consume. It's basically just calories and no vitamins or nutrients.
好 because 因为 it goes through 就是经过这 goes through 在这里其实你把它翻成 be subjected to 就它有受到，它有经历过subjected JECTED 啊，所以因为白糖有经过 the most 最多的 processing 加工啊，所以呢，因为加工加的最多，所以 it has the least 它有最少的 nutritional value 就是营养价值，各位把这个片语背起来 nutritional value 好，它的营养价值是最少的 of all the sugars we consume 我们所吃的糖里面呢，白糖的营养价值是最低的。
As it is being refined, so as it is being processed or cooked and all the things that happen to it, the sugar loses its minerals. Minerals in Chinese is?
矿物质。
Along with any natural color it had. There's a reason why white sugar is white. Most foods that are white have generally been processed until they're not nutritious.
好，所以这个白糖是白的，因为它里面的营养分都消失了。所以其实大多数的食物，你如果把它弄成最后变成白色的话，那其他的表示它里面大多数的所含的不管什么东西，包括营养素都不见了啊。好，所以这些地讲到说 as it is being refined 当它被精炼的时候啊，那 refine 这个字就是精炼，这个字其实也很好记啊，那个 fin 啊就是 end 结束的意思，那 rise again 所以已经结束了，你再做一次那就是精炼嘛啊，因为本来已经做好，你再做一次它就会越来越精炼。好，所以 as it is being refined 当它被精炼的时候呢，这个糖啊，它就会 loses 会失去它的矿物质 minerals along with together with 啊，随着矿物质失去的还有什么东西呢？还有 any natural color it had 还有任何它原来有的天然的颜色啊，这个 had 是曾经拥有啊，现在已经因为精炼因为加工没有了。
Now, during the refining process, thick, brown, syrupy, meaning thick and sweet, liquid known as molasses is produced. And molasses is basically all the nutrition that's been taken out of sugar and is pretty good for you.
好，所以 molasses 就是糖蜜哈，它就是在精炼过程当中从这个甘蔗里面拿出被抽取出来的东西，所以它基本上其实都是对你身体比较好的啊，营养素也在这里。所以他这里讲到说，在这个 during the refining process 在这个精炼的过程当中 thick 在这里就是浓稠的啊，像我们常常讲 thick soup 就是那个汤很浓哈，所以很浓稠的 brown 好，这个它的颜色哈是 brown 的，然后呢还有 syrupy 啊 syrup 是糖浆，那 syrupy 就像糖浆一样的这样的一种液体呢，好 known as 就是我们称它为糖蜜，这样的一种东西呢 is produced 被生产出来，所以在精炼过程当中呢就产生了糖蜜这种东西，因为它这个甘蔗里面的养分都随着糖蜜被形成了。
And the reason why molasses is good for you is it's got a bunch of B vitamins. And also it helps your digestion.
好，那糖蜜对我们身体好是因为它含有很多的这个维他命 B 啊，那它也会帮助我们的消化哈，所以在他们精炼的过程里面就会形成糖蜜这种东西。
So brown sugar is our next kind of sugar, and brown sugar is essentially or basically white sugar with some of the molasses added back in. So they take all the molasses out, and then they have the white sugar, and then they add some molasses back in to make sugar brown and more flavorful.
所以 brown sugar 我们中文称为红糖啊，那红糖呢 is essentially 就是 in essence 啊，它的本质上面啊，就是 fundamentally 它基本上面就是 white sugar 是白糖，但是呢 with 带了一些 some of the molasses added back in 啊，这一些糖蜜 added 加 back 加回来 in 加进去啊，所以就是他们在精炼过程当中啊，把这个糖弄得变成白糖了，然后他们再加一点在精炼过程中产生的那个糖蜜，把它 add back in 就会形成红糖。
I'm going to say, though, the hongtang that I've seen here in Taiwan is not the same as brown sugar in the U.S. Hongtang is hard like white sugar, and brown sugar in the U.S. is crumbly like cake crumbs. So it's still a slightly different product here in Asia than in the U.S.
哦，那所以这个台湾的红糖跟美国的红糖还是有点不一样哈。台湾的红糖是一粒一粒的哈，那美国的红糖呢，有的时候是那种一块一块的那种感觉。
It looks like sand, to be honest.
Looks like what?
Like wet sand at the beach.
哦，像沙子一样哈。
Yeah.
You're
But
right.
it's not gritty. It's just soft like sand, and you can crumble it and squeeze it together like wet sand.
Yeah, 所以我刚刚讲的一块一块其实不对啊，就是美国他们的那个所谓的这个红糖呢，像沙子一样哈，所以你可能就可以把它弄成一块啊，然后把它这个捏一捏啊什么的。
But in Taiwan, 红糖 is like 一块一块的, like white sugar.
一颗的，
一粒一粒
的 Yeah.
Yeah. So, although the molasses contains some nutrients, like we mentioned, the amount added is not really enough to be of much benefit to people. You're not, the benefit is not, it does not outweigh the risks.
好，虽然呢，这个糖蜜呢，它有含一些 nutrients， 就是营养成分啊，但是呢 the amount added 加回去的那个量呢 is not enough， 不够啊，没有办法 to be much benefit to people 啊，对人不会有太大的益处啊 to be of much benefit， 这个 to be of benefit 就是 beneficial 有益处的意思，这个结构就跟我们 use 一样，你说 be of use 就是 useful 的意思。
And then we have black sugar. Some people believe black sugar, which originated in or comes from Okinawa in Japan, which is from that set of islands between Taiwan and Japan, is more nutritious than brown sugar. People believe it's more nutritious than brown sugar, basically because it has all of the original molasses in it.
好 ，black sugar 就是黑糖。那有些人认为呢，黑糖啊 ，some people believe black sugar, which originated in Okinawa， 它是起源于这个冲绳的黑糖啊，那是日本的冲绳。那很多人认为 black sugar is more nutritious， 更有营养，跟这个 brown sugar 跟红糖比起来更有营养。好，所以 nutritious 就是营养。那我们现在看到好几个字啊，这个nutrient 啊 nutritional、nutritious 啊，那这个 nutritious 就是 nourishing 的意思啊，就是有营养的 providing nourishment 啊，所以 nourishment 也是营养。那各位发现这些字啊，听起来都有 ner 的声音啊，其实他们的字根都一样，他们的字根都是 nurse 啊 nurse 就是护士那个字啊。不过 nurse 这个字本来的有一个意思是喂母乳啊，所以大概这个跟营养有关系哈。所以这些字呢听起来都很像，因为他们的字根都是 nurse。What?
No, I was just thinking I wish that all sugar is also super nutritious so we could have our cake and eat it too.
Yeah. 啊，这但愿我们所有的糖真的都很有营养，这样子的话我们就不用怕吃糖了。
Yeah. Anyways, with black sugar, this is what they do. Sugar cane is boiled until it turns into a dark syrup. And this dark syrup is then cooled until it forms itself into solid chunks of crystals.
好，所以在这个黑糖方面呢 ，with 就做黑糖的时候啊 ，with black sugar， 那 sugar cane 这个甘蔗呢 is boiled 被这个煮啊，煮到什么时候呢 ？Until it turns into 煮到它成为一个 dark 一个颜色很深的这个 syrup 糖浆啊，那 which is then cooled 这个时候它就把这个糖浆直接拿去冷却 cooled， 然后呢 and formed into 啊，它就会形成 solid。硬硬的 chunks 就是一块一块的东西啊，我们这个 chunk 这个是我们常常讲到 lexical chunks 就是一块一块常常出现的字啊，那这个字本来就是一块的意思啊，在这里就是一块的意思。
But this is things you can eat and not words.
Yeah.
And so, thus, black sugar keeps its molasses content. I don't know if you've tasted Okinawa black sugar comparison to Taiwan black sugar.
That's different.
And then there's also Shiyuandao black sugar. They're all three different.
Yeah.
And I actually prefer either the Shiyuandao or Taiwan sugar. I think Okinawa black sugar is too sour.
Wow.
There's like an acid content, makes my stomach hurt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. 好，所以这地方讲到说，所以呢，这个黑糖呢，它会因为这样，所以它可以保留 keeps 它的这个糖蜜的 content， 糖蜜的成分啊，它可以把它保留起来。
So then last but not least, there's honey. Honey is another common type of sweetener that people use. And many people believe it is the healthiest option. And the reason is because it comes from bees and flower pollen. and is therefore more natural and more full of nutrients. It's not been processed at all. It is a direct from nature product.
Honey 就是蜂蜜啊，蜂蜜是另外一种这个糖好 sweetener， 那 that people use 是我们用的另外一种糖啊。那 with 就是附带状况啊，那这种糖有什么状况呢？就是很多人 many 就是 many people， 很多人相信它是 the healthiest 最健康的一个 option 一个选择啊。那为什么呢？因为蜂蜜是来自于蜜蜂啊，因此呢它是 more natural， 它是更自然的。好 option 就是一个选择，通常option 这种选择是你需要这个 careful consideration 的，这个叫做 option， 它跟 choice 的差别就在这里。choice 是个非常 general 的字，而且你可能有很多东西可以选啊，但是 option 就是它是一个 choice， 但是 it's often a choice that requires careful consideration 啊。例如说 tax options， 好，你要报税的时候你要选啊，我要怎么样报，我要用哪一种来报，那就是你要去想一想的。好，所以这两个字可以稍微区分一下。
Now, there is truth to that belief that honey is more healthy, but despite having more nutritional value, too much honey can still be harmful to one's health. And then here's another thing that's not in this article. A lot of what is sold as honey is not pure honey. It's actually honey adulterated with glycerin. So how can you be absolutely sure that your honey has not got other things added to it? Well, you can buy honey that's in its solid state. Honey that hasn't been cooked will naturally crystallize and turn into like a butter-like substance. If you're buying solid state honey or crystallized honey, or cream honey is sometimes sold like that, you know that it's 100% real honey because honey that's had sugar added will not do that.
所以刚刚 Angela 讲说，这个很多人这个所谓的市售的蜂蜜，很多其实不是纯的蜂蜜啊。那怎么判断纯的蜂蜜呢？有一个办法，就是纯的蜂蜜呢，它会比较容易结块啊。所以如果会结块，或者是看起来有点像这个比较变得浓稠那种感觉的话，那个大概应该就是比较好的蜂蜜。
It just turns a light yellow color and is just like crystallized into butter.
所以它感觉起来好像是 crystallized， 好像结晶，好看起来好像 butter 一样啊。好，那这个地方讲到说 there is truth to that belief， 就是这样的一些想法，就是认为蜂蜜比较有营养的想法呢，有些道理，就有一些事实根据啊。There is truth to that belief， 但是 despite 尽管它有比较多的 nutritional value， 尽管如此呢 ，too much honey 太多的蜂蜜 can still be harmful to one's health， 仍然可能是对你的健康有伤害的。
So the main point of our whole thing here seems to be that people should control their intake of sugar as much as possible. So you should just try to eat as little sugar as possible, even though it's lovely.
所以呢 the main point 主要的重点呢 seems to be 似乎是人们应该要 control 要控制他们的 intake 就摄取的量the quantity taken in 当然它也可以指 the act of taking in 就吃的那个动作食用的那个动作或者是你食用的分量在这里就是指你食用的量所以你要控制你食用的量of sugar 你所食用的糖的量 as much as possible 你要尽量去控制它
Okay, and we have 4 questions here for you. Number 1 is, what is the day 1 passage mainly about?
第一天的文章主要是关于什么呢？
The answer is B, the reasons why people enjoy consuming sugar.
答案是 B, 人们喜爱吃糖的原因。
And number 2, according to the passage, what is the connection between sugar and our evolutionary past?
根据本文，糖和我们过去的演化有什么关系呢？
The answer is B, sugar helped people live longer and have more kids.
答案是 B, 糖有助于人们活更久，生育更多的孩子。
And number 3, what is molasses?
什么是糖蜜？
The answer is C, a product resulting from the manufacturing of white sugar.
答案是 C, 生产白糖的时候的产品。
And number 4, please look at a student's notes about sugar below. Which of the comparisons is not true, according to the day 2 passage?
请看看下方学生所做的关于糖的笔记。根据第二天的文章，哪一项比较是不正确的？
And the untrue comparison is D. Brown sugar is thought to be more nutritious than black sugar, That's not true. Black sugar is thought to be more nutritious than brown sugar.
答案是 D 啊，因为 D 说红糖被认为比黑糖更营养啊，这是错的，因为其实正好相反，黑糖被认为比红糖还要营养。
So all this talk about sugar is making me think about the chocolate cake that I made this morning and it's now sitting in my fridge. So guess what I'm doing when I go home?
Anyways,
throwing it away into my mouth? Yes, yes. So that's all we have for you about sugar this today. But we'll see you again next time for more Ivy English. Until then, bye-bye.